Commissioner Watts is absent.
All right, if everyone stands for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I want to welcome everyone to the meeting. We have a great crowd tonight. Welcome everyone to the Village of Biscayne Park, for those of you that haven't been here before. We're going to take items slightly out of order. But before we get to that, we just want to recognize some distinguished guests. We have the Mayor of Miami Springs, Xavier Garcia. We have Chief Ian Moffitt from Miami-Dade County School Board. And we have Captain Ralph Sanchez from the Miami Gardens Police Department. So with that, we're going to take item 4E. We have some swearing in of and some promotions for the police department. So with that, I'd like to introduce our police chief, Chief McKenna.
Hello, everybody. It's a very happy night for the police department and the recognition for some people who have done some excellent work and are such an important part of the community in the police department. We have 2 promotions and 3 appointments. We'll start with Corporal Thomas Harrison, promoted from corporal to captain. Next, we have Corporal Lloyd Kamara, appointed from the rank of corporal to the rank of commander. Next, we have the following 4 appointments. First is Hector Pineda, appointed to the rank of Detective Lieutenant. Next, we have the appointment of Reserve Officer Luke Palacios to full-time police officer. our final appointment is Kevin Lopez, appointed to the rank of Reserve Police Officer. Congratulations. If you could please bear with us for about 3 minutes so we could take some photographs.
Are you going to do the oath? It's not official yet.
In all fairness, I did admit I thought something was missing. Okay. Okay, please raise your right hands. Okay, I state your name.
I, Palacios,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and the state of Florida
and the state of Florida
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
both foreign and domestic,
both foreign and domestic,
and will bear true faith
and will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and that I am entitled to hold office
that I am entitled to hold office
under the Constitution,
under the Constitution,
and I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
all duties of my new office
all duties of my new office
for the Village of Biscayne Park Police Department,
for the Village of Biscayne Park Police Department,
of which I am about to enter,
which I am about to enter,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Barbara, the only thing we've done is just this park.
Yeah, come on down.
They jumped over.
Come on down. Or how about you guys come down? Or no? They fit? You can squeeze in. If you guys come down. You're okay. Here comes Caesar.
No, it was like
Perfect. A little more. Thank you.
Come on. That's Maria. Maria, you gotta send
I've lost my other two pair. I hate these ones. They're so heavy on my shoes.
That's why I gave up on using contacts.
Thank you.
You're like you guys. You walk into a restaurant without glasses on. My brother just had his cataracts.
You guys want to go to the photo? Bus.
I'm on ready.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to announce my family was here with me today. My wife, Lenai, my son, Christopher, my son, Jacob, and my other son, Jaden, and my parents, Tom and Ada, in the back. Thank you for coming, guys.
And I want to thank my lovely wife, Rosa, and my daughter, Sarah, for being a part of this tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank my wife, Maria, as most of you know, and my youngest one, Eddie. Stand up.
I want to thank my aunt Maria for being here, my grandmother Becca, my brother Luis, my dad Luis, my mother Mercy, and my little brother Matthew. I want to thank my mom, Amy, my brothers Alex and Frankie, and my aunt Gachi, and the rest of my family that's there, in that corner.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah. And that's next one.
Yeah.
She's really good. She helps with the
It's just a lot of
She's
people.
a very nice lady. Works pretty hard. And now we're going to have a lot of people to sit down. There's a proclamation for the childhood cancer. Can you do that proclamation, since I think the League of Cities did really nice? Maybe you can just speak about the League of Cities.
I heard that it was.
Thank you very much. Take care.
I meant to, but I missed the deadline, and I'm trying on this deadline.
It was really good.
Yeah. Who was it? I got to know. Although, I mean, one of the commissioners, Jim, blank on his last name, from Pinecrest. I have to tell John. My coworker has to Yeah, well, there were a lot of people.
All right, all set? All right, folks, we're going to get started with, we have a proclamation, item 4A. Staff, do you want to introduce 4A? Just read it? Okay. All right, we have a proclamation for September 17th to the 23rd is Constitution Week. Caesar, is this working? Can you hear me now? All right. The week of September 17th to the 23rd is the U.S. Constitution Week. So we have a proclamation to read. Whereas September 17, 2014 marks the 227th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. Whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commensurate the occasion. Whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designated September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore I, David Coviello, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of the Village of Biscayne Park, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2014 as Constitution Week. And ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. I set my hand and cause the seal of this Village of Biscayne Park to be affixed this 9th day of September of 2014. And we have a resident, B.B. Gould, here in attendance. She is a member of the organization, the Daughters of the American Revolution. B.B., if you want to say a few words, perhaps.
As we heard the police officers in their pledge, they're swearing in to uphold the Constitution. I charge each one of us to keep dear the Constitution, because it is a document that the whole world looks up to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, B.B., for coming. Okay, the second proclamation is item 4B. It's September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And I'd like to introduce or have Commissioner Bob Anderson speak on this item. He attended, along with Vice Mayor Ross, the League of Cities meeting this month, and there was a presentation that I think that they can speak to that pertains to this. So.
What people don't realize on childhood cancer, it's increasing, and the therapies that are used for childhood cancer basically are for adults, and they don't necessarily work the same way in the child. And as advances have been going on with cancer research and new medications and things have come out, it's all for adults. So what happens is when children get these, sometimes it's really, really bad. Even when it comes to chemotherapy, different types of chemotherapy. So all of us need to be aware that more research needs to be done as far as children, what things will work for children, and more research for certain things that are geared for children, because it doesn't work. You can't use something for an adult and it will work on a child. Their bodies work differently. And we were given a great presentation from this particular lady and her husband, which is a physician that lost a child, and it was awful what they went through, going all over the country to try to go ahead and get help. And it's something that we all need to be aware of.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Just going to read the proclamation. September has been designated National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month to honor those children whose lives have been lost and those irrevocably impacted by this terrible illness, and to strengthen the nation's resolve to search for a cure. Whereas cancer is the leading cause of death by disease among U.S. children between infancy and 15 years of age. Childhood cancers cross all racial, ethnic, geographic, and socioeconomic backgrounds, and each year tens of thousands of children face the battle of cancer with incredible bravery and inspiring hope. While progress against some childhood cancers have been made, cure rates for many forms of childhood cancer remain less than 50%, with the incidence of childhood cancers increasing at a more rapid rate than any other age group. This disease not only affects the child diagnosed with cancer, but also their entire support network of devoted parents, grandparents, loved ones, and friends. This city recognizes the devastating impact that this disease has on members of our community and the importance of increased research on childhood cancer. This month, we recognize that these burdens are shared by countless dedicated healthcare professionals, organizations, charities, and parent advocacy groups, which support patients and families by offering advice, encouragement, hope, and financial assistance. Now therefore we, the Mayor and Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, do hereby proclaim September 2014 Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and pay tribute to the families, friends, and professionals and communities who lend their strength to children fighting pediatric cancer. All right. We're going to move on to item 4C, introduction of new employees. Madam Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 3 new employees that I'd like to introduce tonight. I'll start with Christian Manners. He is our new Public Services Manager. He's the gentleman that's standing there. It's one way to distinguish him.
I'm the tall one.
Yeah, the tall one. Christian, I welcome him to our team. He brings a wealth of experience both in public and private sectors, experience not only relevant to what we're currently going through, but also where we want to be. I have professional experience working with Christian and watching him interact between residents, businesses, city staff, elected officials, and Wilton Manors, and I hope you'll welcome his inclusive approach, his ability to find win-win solutions, his creativity, and his tendency to roll up his sleeves and get things done to Biscayne Park. Thank you, Christian. I want to introduce Shalisha Bartley. Wait, so everyone knows who you are. Shalisha is our new Parks and Recreation Manager. She brings a Bachelor of Science degree as well as a Master's degree in Sports and Recreation Management. Her years of experience have proven leadership in her last experience in Coral Springs, and it will be put to good use here in Biscayne Park. She jumped right into her position a couple weeks ago with both feet, and her energy and intelligence have already been seen in her work. We welcome Shalisha aboard. And also in Parks and Rec, I'd like to welcome Philomene Pierre. Philomene is a part-time parks coordinator, and as you can see with that winning smile, she really has what it takes to get out there and interact with our residents and our park users, and also has jumped in feet first. She's a student at Miami-Dade College and is currently in her last semester of her associate's degree in criminal justice. And she plans on pursuing her Bachelor of Arts next year. Her enthusiasm and experience will be an asset here to the village. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
All right, welcome to our Biscayne Park family. All right, employee recognition, Wills and Derek.
Gentlemen. As many people know, both in the community and here on the commission, we've been in a time of transition here at the parks. And there were 2 individuals that really kept us going day and night. We had special events during this transition period, and both Wills and Derek were on board to help out. And I want to share with the public, because I think this is very important to know, the quality and caliber of employees that we have here in the village. Both Wills and Derek individually came to my office, and of course as a manager, when an employee wants to come see you, especially during this time of transition, you just think, please don't tell me you're resigning. And it was quite the contrary. Both of them said to me, whatever you need me to do until we're up and running, I will do. And that includes me calling Derek one day after he had finished a full route of sanitation on his way home and asking him if he could come up back and help us out because we were short-staffed one night. Derek coming in on his own time on the weekends to help out with the Children's Safety Day Back to School event. And Will's putting together the Children's Safety Day Back to School event, which was a great success all by himself, and opening and closing the recreation center most days over a 3-week period. So I think it's important for us to show our appreciation and thank them, and really I'm just so happy that you stuck it out with us and you're still here. And as many people in the public might not know, but the commission knows that we have recently promoted Wills to full-time, and we're happy that he'll be here working full-time with us. Wills also has a Bachelor's of Arts in Recreation and Sports Management, so we have a high-caliber staff really putting in the time with us. And Derek is going to stay on board with us and be responsible for the shining and buffing of our medians and landscaping throughout the village starting October 1st. So we're very excited for both of that. And I have a small token of our appreciation for both of them. Thank you. Another hug. Another hug. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Just want to echo what Heidi said. Both Wills and Derek, I've seen them both in action, and you guys go above and beyond, and we're very lucky to have you and continue doing the good work that you do. So thank you. Okay, any additions, deletions, or withdrawals?
From staff, we'd like to pull from the agenda 8J. We're going to delete it and put it on the next month's agenda. The union had not returned back with all their steps complete.
Okay.
And just under village manager report, I'm going to add a quick update on the bathroom renovations.
You're going to do that under 7 or at the end?
I had planned to do it during village manager's report, but I can do it at whatever point you would like me to.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put it under 13A.
Okay.
Okay, anything from the commission? Commissioner Ross?
Well, there were some minutes that I just spoke to the clerk right before the meeting started on it.
I was going to pull it a consent.
Okay. In my mind, that means we're going to discuss it when you pull it off the consent agenda, so.
I'm going to be pulling the minutes from August 5th, Mayor.
August 5th? Okay. Under 8A?
And we'll bring it back for the next agenda.
Okay. Anything else from the commission? Okay.
Pulling from the consent agenda?
Well,
Or are we going to wait till we get to the consent?
yeah, why don't we wait till we get to that? Okay. 7A, sanitation services transition update. Oh, I'm sorry.
Public comment.
Public comments first. All right, we'll open up the public comments. If you'd like to come up and make a comment, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Kristen Montori. I live at 515 Northeast 115th Street. It's very telling these meetings are more crowded than usual when the commission is trying to do things without the consent or consensus of the residents. I strongly object to the use of village funds to pay for lobbying efforts for annexation without an assurance that the village residents actually want to proceed. Please hold a village-wide vote on annexation before spending any more resources, time, or money to pursue this unreversible course. Thank you.
All right. Barbara?
Barbara Kuehl, 111th Street. I've been coming to the meetings for many years, long before John Hearn was our attorney. And I've seen an assortment of attorneys in the past. And it wasn't until Mr. Hearn started representing the village that we had the professionalism and the integrity that we needed. And I was really shocked to see the item on the agenda about going to an RFQ for legal services. Because the commission is the one hiring the attorney, I would think that if there was any issue with performance or the billing, that this would have come before the commission, that we would have heard commissioners on the panel say that there was a problem. Mr. Hearn has weathered many different commissions, which is really amazing when you think about it, because Vice Mayor Ross pointed out that we've had several finance managers, and honestly, they left because they just couldn't deal with Biscayne Park any longer, or the money wasn't there. And I know Mr. Hearn has not been getting raises each year for his services. He bills us hourly. And if there is an issue with the amount of money we're spending, and he's being billed hourly, then it's something that we're doing. And I don't know why each year we don't see a record of each commissioner and what they're billing. And are they running up the attorney's fees? This, to me, is a very ungrateful act to somebody who has served this village very well. And I know some of you are friends with Commissioner Ross, and I hope you don't support this on the basis of your friendship, but rather support our attorney for what he's given to this village. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Rafael Trinche, 11108 Northeast 11th Place. Okay, so I'm here to basically support the First Lady that was up here, which is to try to figure out why, if the village is tight on money, tight enough to actually decide to fire a half a dozen guys just a few months ago, that you guys are deciding to spend anywhere between 25 to 50,000, give or take, to convince a few people to do something that they may or may not want to do, and that we're not certain that the majority of the people in Biscayne Park want to do. And why you didn't try the cheapest solution first of just stuffing, a few hundred envelopes and just sending them out with a questionnaire and see who was willing to just agree with it up front. So you're choosing not the most, but an expensive solution without even knowing if you need to do it. Doesn't make any sense for a town that says that it's cash strapped. All right, thank you.
Gary Keel, 777 Northeast 111th Street. I'm really not sure that guy over there in the sunglasses is actually Derek. Couple of things. I'd like to underscore what Barbara said. I think Mr. Hearn brings the experience of larger municipalities. He's given us a very favorable rate. He's always accessible. I find him neutral. And we've had experience with other attorneys and fill-ins, and we did not see that kind of service. And I think it's incumbent upon the commission, if there are issues, there are things that we as a community don't recognize, we should be aware of that. To me, this is just something that's out of the blue because one commissioner decided, oh, let's do something different. I don't see the basis for it, and if you proceed with it, we would like an explanation. Second thing is, I don't want to supersede the village manager's report, but I think we all recognize the bathrooms are kind of an unfortunate experience. So be it. It's time to move on. I just don't want to see the village manager or the commission decide to compromise. Let's rip it out, do it over right, bite the bullet, and let's not make the same mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Chuck Ross, 1166 Griffin Boulevard. First, I'd like to announce that we're going to have a crime watch meeting on September 27th here at the Rec Center at 10 o'clock. Not principally, but we want to introduce the new Chief of Police, Chief McKenna. If anybody hasn't met him yet. And just we try to do crime watch meetings. We're also going to, it's in connection with the Coffee with a Cop. We're combining the meetings, so we'd like to try to do them every 2 to 3 months. So it's been a couple of months now. I was waiting for the chief to get acclimated a little bit, and now it's time. So September 27th. On another matter, last night another divisive, inflammatory email went out from Steve Bernard. This type of communication is not productive, it's destructive. I would urge anyone that receives these emails to check the facts and not accept them at face value. Reach out to your elected officials to get the full perspective on what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. All right, any other public comment? Tracy?
Good evening, everyone. Tracy Trutman, 791 Northeast 116th Street. And at the urging of Milt, I will try and slow down my speed. I'd like to make a couple of comments. I think a lot of the residents had some very interesting perspectives on a few issues, and I'd like to address a couple of them. One of them has to do with Attorney Hearn. I think Attorney Hearn has been around for a very long time and has done an excellent job representing our village. I think there's a different issue at hand that I'm going to address that has nothing to do with an RFQ, if I get that correctly. But it has to do with review processes and having equity across the board. I think there needs to be a review process in play for everybody, and I think other villages do it a little bit differently. One of the issues was billing. So one of my recommendations, after talking to my commissioners and other attorneys, is that the billing be processed very similarly as to other villages, in which the bills are attached to the end and approved by the commission, not the village manager. The commission is responsible for hiring and firing of attorneys, so all of you made some very great points. I think Barbara made a few that had to do with review. If there's an oversight issue or a transparency issue, then maybe if it's done like other places, we won't have a lot of this going back and forth. And I think that would be fair to Attorney Hearn, and would also be fair to hold the commissioners to a fire to how many billable hours they do as well. That's one thought. That make sense? Okay. Next comment has to do with the annexation. I've been around here, I don't know, I've lost count of years. The trouble I have is I don't want the village to change. I didn't want to lose sanitation. I don't want to change my police force. I want what I want, and I want it now. But the reality is, we're not in that fiscal responsibility, and the more I look into the fiscal part of it, the more frightened I get that we're going to have a village. Regarding annexation, they've already moved forward with that, so the issue is whether we move full speed or whether we cut it back and lose. From my perspective, I am not knowledgeable about what annexation costs. However, working in the public sector, I can tell you lobbyists are just a part of the way that business is done. I don't like it. I'd like to prevent it, and I'd like to change the Constitution, but that doesn't make that happen. If you want something to happen, we have to pay lobbyists. I don't like it, but I think it's something we're going to end up having to do as a village. I'm not happy about annexation. I don't like the idea of it, but I just don't know what else we can do. So I'm going to recommend that folks who are getting emails from Steve Bernard in particular, he likes to twist things. He likes to get everybody all riled up after the fact, not before the fact. I'm going to encourage everybody to reach out to commissioners, and if you have solutions to help the fiscal salvageability of this village, then I encourage you seriously be part of the solution. It's easy to sit up here and criticize folks. I've spoken to all these commissioners hours on end. I've chewed up the air at 9 o'clock at night, Barbara, thank you last night. I really recommend you get it from the source, because it really is difficult to have it be true. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Any other public comment? Chuck? Anyone else? All right, we'll close the public comment period. And let's move on to the update on sanitation services.
One of Christian's duties is going to include interfacing with Waste Pro, especially during this transition period for the new services. He's done a few conference calls, and he's going to bring you up to date on the work that's been done in the last month.
Okay, well, we're moving along. We've just sort of started on this transition with Waste Pro. This week, yesterday in fact, we had a supervisor from Waste Pro shadowing our sanitation guys, just learning the intricacies of what we do here and how we take care of our residents, so that they can get a better handle on the idea of how to do it and do it better. That will happen again on September 15th, and we'll have more of the Waste Pro staff. It won't be just supervisors. It'll be actually some of our actual sanitation workers that will be coming in from Waste Pro, learning from our guys. Let's see, we had our meet and greet tonight, of course, and today we sent the new Waste Pro residential sanitation schedule brochure to print. So those should be coming out, and those will be distributed throughout the village. We'll be mailing those out first. After that, we will also include them in a bag that will be tied to each recycle bin as those go out. So that's all coming up probably in the next week or two for the mailing. September 25th, our new recycling carts will be delivered to the village, and they'll be held at Village Hall for assembly. That will be outdoors in front of the police station right now. We'll be in the big grassy lawn out there, and working to get that all put together. The bins that same week, the week of the 25th, the bins will be delivered, and the Track Easy reporting system should go online and be in place. What the Track Easy reporting system does, it links to our website, our Biscayne Park website, so that our residents, if they have a complaint or a question, they can go there and immediately, get an email to us or to Waste Pro to get it resolved. And so that's something it's a piece of technology that's going to make everyone's life a little bit better, I think. Additionally, we can see reports, we can pull reports off of that to see how many people, how many complaints we had, how many compliments we had, and look at that and analyze where to improve. So then really we're up to October 1st at that point. Miami Shores will run their final pickup on the recycling on that day. And that's, let's see, that's Wednesday, October 1st. They'll pick up the bins as well. What they will do is, of course, they're not going to be able, I'm sure, to pick up all the bins the same day. I'm sure that there will be some people that forget to put theirs out or something like that. So they will, check back with us, and our public works guys will be looking for the bins as well to collect them, so that we're returning all of the bins to Miami Shores, and we aren't billed for any missing bins.
I want to chime in here. It's very important to the Village of Miami Shores that we return all bins, that our residents do put their bins out on October 1st, whether they have recycling or not, for collection by Miami Shores.
And then Friday, October 3rd, we really start in full force. That will be the first time that Waste Pro picks up the garbage and the recycling from the village, for the village. And then the next part of that will be Tuesday, October 7th, which will be the first time that they pick up the garbage and the trash or yard waste from the village. So that's the pattern, or that's the schedule that we have currently. Do you have any questions? Is there anything you'd like to know?
Any questions from the commission? Anything? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Just want to make one statement for those of you that spoke on the public relations firm on the issue of whether to hire one. I urge you to stick around, and we're going to have a discussion on that tonight. So if you'd like to stick around and listen to that, I think that you'll learn a number of things. We're going to have 2 presentations from the firm, so you can learn exactly what they'll be doing for us. Okay, let's move on to 7B. Irwin?
Just as Irwin starts, I want to point out that we gave you a different format this month, and that's so we can share with you the projections to the end of the year, which our financial year ends on September 30th. So this month we're doing a different kind of presentation. I also want to remind the commission as well as the public that we have our first budget hearing at 6:30 on Thursday, September 11th this week.
All right, Irwin.
Okay, if we look at the third column that Patty was just mentioning, you'll see it says projected through September 30th. Now, these were based on actual numbers through July 31st, and they'll even be a little more accurate at the end of this month as we're only 1 month away from our year end. But to the best of our abilities, here's what we're projecting will be our revenues and our expenditures through September 30th. So we can see that if the projections hold, if you look at down at the bottom, we will be returning $37,000 back to the reserves at the end of the year if these numbers hold. If you look at the last column, we can see the variances as we go down. You'll notice on the third line that the utility fees were much higher than we had budgeted this year, and I'm projecting they're going to come in about $27,000 higher than we had budgeted for at the beginning of the year. Going down to our permits, we over-budgeted on our permits, and we're going to have the negative variance would be $59,000 on the permits based on what our original budget was. So that going down to the expenditures, as we talked about in the previous meeting, if you recall, we had on the FMIT, which is the negative amount of $42,681, that was the $40,000 that they assessed us for the liability insurance in the prior year that came through this year that we had to address. And above that, you can see in the general contingency, remember that we use this contingency as the balancing number in the budget to make it a zero-based budget. And right now, we're projecting that we'd have $46,000 in that contingency, which is the positive variance as of the end of September. So bottom line is that, if everything holds, we will be returning some monies back to the reserves. But, things can happen between now and the end of the year, so we'll have a better idea at the end of August once I'm able to project with only 1 month left to go to the end of the year. For the period ended July 31st, we had $2,155,000 in revenues with $1,860,000 in expenditures as of July 31st. Are there any questions on on
Any questions?
this part?
Commissioner Watts, anything?
Oh, wait, I'll ask later.
Okay.
No other questions?
I think that's it.
I think when we meet on Thursday, we'll have a deeper discussion about.
Yeah, on the budget, we can, on Thursday, we can have, we're going to go detail through the budget, department by department, to answer any of your questions as it relates to the budget for this coming year.
Okay. All right, thank you, Roman. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. So August 5th minutes, those were pulled, correct, to the next meeting. Would anyone like to pull any items from the consent agenda? Commissioner Anderson?
I'd like to pull 8G and 8K.
I'm sorry, 8G and 8K?
K.
Okay.
It is a kite.
Correct.
And I'd like to just pull 8C, just for the purpose of recognizing the folks here from SWAT. Anything else?
Will we be taking that item next after consent?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent minus 8C, 8G, and 8K?
And also do those, what was pulled before August 5th minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the rest of consent.
Motion by Commissioner Anderson, second by Commissioner Watts. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, all right, we're going to take item 8C. We have some folks here from SWAT, so maybe if you'd like to speak again briefly and introduce who you are and what you're about.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for your time and allowing us to be here. My name is Yadira.
My name is Ana Medeiros.
And my name is Daliani Saldez.
We are SWAT members from the City of Hialeah. On behalf of the Miami-Dade County students working against tobacco, we are grateful for your support in banning the sale of flavored tobacco products not covered by FDA in the village of Biscayne Park.
Flavored cigarettes are banned in the United States, but deadly tobacco products are still sold, packaged with flavors that attract youth. Within the past year, there has been an increase in the use of these products among our youth. 1 in 7 Florida youth between the ages of 11 and 17 has tried flavored tobacco. 5.6% of high school students and 2.3% middle school students are current flavored tobacco users. We greatly appreciate your partnership in the effort to prevent our youth from beginning to use these cancer-causing products by getting them off our shelves.
With the help of our partners and other SWAT members, policies have been passed to restrict the sale of flavored tobacco products at various cities throughout Miami-Dade County, and now you have been added to the list. Our aim is to establish policies in all cities in order to protect our youth, and we thank you for your support.
Thank you, guys. I want to thank you for taking on this cause. You guys did well. Thank you for coming back to a second meeting. I know you were here at the last meeting.
Thank you once again.
So is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
All right, motion by Commissioner Anderson,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Ross. All in favor?
Do we cover the mayor? Do we know? Okay, thank you.
You said aye?
Aye.
You say aye?
Can you all say aye?
Aye.
All set. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Okay, let's move on to item...
Before you move on, may I say something?
Sure.
Good evening,
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. My name is Nancy E. Maydiek, and I chair the Tobacco-Free Work Group of the Consortium for a Healthier Miami-Dade. Confucius said that the first rule in being a wise leader is that you must first define the problem. In this case, the problem is that flavored tobacco products target children, they appeal to children, and they addict children. You have defined the problem. And by passing a resolution to ban the sale of flavored tobacco products, you have taken a very important step in the solution to that problem. On behalf of the Consortium for a Healthier Miami-Dade and all the citizens who would like to create a healthier community, I would like to thank you for choosing to be wise leaders and doing the right thing, especially during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item 8G. Commissioner Anderson, you pulled that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The reason I pulled it, this has to do with the reimbursement we get back from the state for maintaining 6th Avenue, the median down the middle. The state has cut just about in half of what their reimbursement they want to give back to us. And I'm looking at these numbers like cutting. The number of cutting, they're saying it only needs to be cut 18 times a year, and they're going to pay us $25.81 each time. Edging and sweeping, I guess that's done at the same time. They're looking at paying us $16.83. It's going to be hard to believe that we're not going to be losing money on it. And I'd like to see us hand it back over to the state and let a contractor take care of it. And we could go ahead and in between what the contractor is doing by their schedule, if something needs to be done, we could go ahead and do it. But I think trying to be able to do it, for us to do it at this price, it's a losing proposition for us.
You know, maybe it's a good idea if staff, Madam Manager, can you just give a 30-second summary of the item so the public understands what we're talking about?
This is an agreement between the Florida Department of Transportation and the Village of Biscayne Park. It has been in place in previous years. It's always been a popular understanding that the agreement was for median maintenance, but in talking to our FDOT contacts, they informed me it's actually for the mowing of the median. So over the years, as the plantings went into the median, the trees went into the median, there was less of a mowing to take place. And while this year they do not decrease our acreage, what they did do is decrease the number of cuttings and the price per unit for cutting. And they, when pressed on that information, they said it was based on bids that they had received as well as their contracts with other cities in Miami-Dade County. They said the only way they were willing to budge, and this was an email conversation, was if we had an issue with the number of acreage, but that they were not changing the number of cuts nor the bid prices for what a cut would cost.
So this covers 6th Avenue only, correct?
Correct.
And it covers the median?
Correct.
So what grass, I mean, it's all landscape, that median, correct?
There's small areas of grass, mostly towards the end of each median segment, but there's small portions of grass throughout the median along 6.
And
if you recall,
rim of grass around each median? A little rim around the edge of each one? No?
probably underneath the landscaping, it's hard to
That's
see.
what I mean.
Yeah, and if you recall, in our budget, we also have a grant with the Florida Department of Transportation. This past year, we used it for the planting of the sable palms along the 6th Avenue Bridge. And next year, the grant is to replace the missing trees and correct any landscaping that's missing in the median. And FDOT is of the mindset that as we do improvements, each improvement we do, we take responsibility for those improvements. So if we want it to look nice, I think there is some level of responsibility the village needs to take for the median.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob, I had exactly the same reaction you did. I sort of looked at it differently, but it seemed to me that it was such a small amount of money that it wasn't clear how we were really going to take care of the grass. So I discussed it with Heidi, and my thought, I mean, not that it's up to me, but my thought was, why don't we just yank all the grass, fill it in with something else that doesn't have to be cut, or mulch or something like that. And that was just what I told Heidi. And I don't know about your discussions with her. Have you discussed this with her and maybe asked her to, discuss it with the state?
No, I didn't. I just read the backup that we had on this, and I thought it was very detailed, the backup. And I just don't believe that for what the state's willing to pay us, that it's going to cost us more.
Well, I totally agree with you.
And that doesn't preclude us from going ahead, like litter control. 24 times a year, and they're looking at $34. Well, if we go ahead and let the state go ahead and contract this out, that doesn't stop us if we see litter to go out there once in a while, but at least it's being taken care of by a contractor for 24 times a year. And I think we just need to, if they're going to be penny pinching, I think we need to get out of that business.
Any other comments?
My thoughts on the matter, and after I read it, and this median's always been a concern of mine because I know it costs us a lot of money to water that median. And right now we're not watering because the pipe or connection broke down, but it actually costs us more than the $4,000 they were giving us to water. 6th Avenue is Biscayne Parkway. It's our major thoroughfare. Although it's a state road, I wouldn't want to see it grow into further disrepair. And if the state contractors are going to take care of it in the scheme of what they're proposing in their budget, I think that it's not going to look, it already has a couple of dings and dents in it from people driving across and having accidents across the median. But the state is not going to repair those things as quickly as we would do it. And at least getting a little piece of contribution from the state is better than getting nothing and having to do the work ourselves anyway. So I would press them and it sounds like you have, pressed them to extract the highest amount from them. But I think that it's our village and it's a major street that cuts through the middle of our village, and we should want it to look nice. And then we have to take responsibility for it.
Okay, Commissioner Watts?
I'm not certain whether or not we should go with the state or take it on ourselves, but I don't think that pulling all of the grass up without having a professional plan for what goes in the place of the grass is a good idea. I think that we have to, we want those mediums to look nice. And before making any changes, I think that we would have to consult a professional.
Okay, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the resolution to maintain the relationship with Florida Department of Transportation.
Second. All right, motion by Commissioner Ross, second by Commissioner Jonas. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. Okay, motion carries 4-1.
Yeah, but David, I think that maybe next year we should revisit this and take a look at the amount of money it's spent and get an estimate as to if we were to take that over, how much it would cost. Right now we've got so much going on that I think to add this one to the plate is a bit much. But I think we should look into it further.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, item 8K was pulled by Commissioner Anderson.
Yes, the reason I pulled it because...
Why don't we have staff again introduce
Okay.
it so the public's aware of what...
Do you need to read the title?
No, this is under consent.
At our last budget meeting, we were discussing the living wage and acknowledged that there were 3 employees at the time that were not making the Miami-Dade living wage, which is $12.46. So the commission at that meeting approved increasing their hourly wages during the next fiscal budget year, which starts on October 1st. But there was also consensus among the commission at that time to increase the wages now. I think the phrase that was done is make it happen now, why wait? So we did this resolution just as a public acknowledgement because we were making a change to the budget, the existing budget. So we did this resolution as an acknowledgement of that change that we were making. The fiscal impact for the rest of the year is about $2,300. It's minimal. It's within the spending limits, but we thought it was important. Also, part of that change, as we acknowledged earlier, was making a part-time parks employee full-time, which is also was a consensus of the commission at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioner Anderson, sorry about that.
What I didn't see in here is where is this money coming from out of our existing budget?
We have salary savings throughout the budget due to resignations that it will be completely covered through the bottom line.
So it'll be coming from salaries.
It will be coming through the general fund, most likely that savings is salary, but at the end of the day, it's the bottom line of the general fund that will be covered.
I'd like to see a copy of where this is coming from, what line items we're drawing money out of.
Okay, we could also quickly look back at, I think, did Irwin leave?
Yeah.
Okay, we can quickly look back at 7B, and you can see that he shows that there's an excess of appropriation projected for $37,000, but we can have our finance director prepare that.
Right, so I'd like to see exactly where it's coming from.
Okay, Commissioner Ross?
Yeah, I was looking at that earlier when we were looking at Irwin's numbers, and there's a substantial savings in salary in parks.
Correct.
So I know one of the positions, two of the positions.
Two positions are from parks and one is
So-
from general government.
So that would be within the same
Right.
department.
Correct. But our budget is not one group of salaries, so it might, but ultimately, as long as the bottom line is balanced out.
I don't frankly see what difference it makes where you take it from. The money is there, then you take it. If you can find it someplace. Does it matter where it comes from?
As long as we balance the budget, it shouldn't.
But I think,
All right,
sorry.
No, so Commissioner, you'll provide the information.
We'll
to
provide it
Commissioner
to the
Anderson.
entire commission.
But is there a motion to approve? Yeah.
Could I
I
just say
think-
one?
Sure, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, but if it's, the amount is about $2,300, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I remember from looking at the budget and the comparisons of the salaries of people with those who have left and those who are hired.
Correct.
That difference more than covers, I think, the
Correct.
$2,300.
Correct.
Okay, so there's a motion by Commissioner Jonas.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Ross, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. I believe that was everything that was pulled, correct? Okay. All right, let's move on to first reading, ordinance 2014-08.
This is an ordinance of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, amending the village's Code of Ordinances and the village's Land Development Code to create consistency throughout the codes concerning administrative and user fees, amending Chapter 11, Article 3, Garage Sales, Section 11-45 entitled Permit Issuance Fee of the village's Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 17, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 17-1 entitled Impoundment of Motor Vehicles used during the commission of a crime of the village's Code of Ordinances, amending Part 2, Chapter 16, Permits and Certificates, Section 16-15 entitled Landlord Permits of the Village's Land Development Code, amending Part 2, Chapter 16, Permits and Certificates, Section 16.16 entitled Certificate of Reoccupancy, amending Part 2, Chapter 16, Permits and Certificates, Section 16.18 entitled Home-Based Occupation of the Village's Land Development Code, amending Part 2, Chapter 16, Permits and Certificates, Section 16.19 entitled Contractor Registration of the Village's Land Development Code, amending Part 2, Chapter 17, Fees, Bond, and Charges, Section 17.1 entitled Generally of the Village's Land Development Code, amending Part 2, Chapter 17, Fees, Bond, and Charges, Section 17.3 entitled Campaign Sign Bond of the Village's Land Development Code, amending Part 2, Chapter 17, Fees, Bond, and Charges, Section 17.6 entitled Planning and Zoning Fee Schedule of the Village's Land Development Code, repealing Ordinance 2006-14, addressing the building permit fee schedule in its entirety, providing that village fees be addressed by resolution, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, providing for an effective date. First reading, Mayor, we do public hearing at both first and second reading.
Is that the longest ordinance you've ever read?
And I was just at the Notre Dame, Michigan game, so my voice is a little sore, so I apologize.
All right, we'll open it up for public comment. Anyone has any public comment, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period and open it up to the commission.
Just to, after our
I'm
attorney
sorry,
read all...
Manager, maybe you can make do
Sure.
a summary?
This is the first of 2 steps that we're taking to clean up how we establish our fees as well as keep track of our fees. In the past, fees have been done through the Code of Ordinances, which requires 2 readings for an ordinance, requires advertising costs for an ordinance, as well as costs with Muni Code to codify those changes. We are proposing to put all the fees in one central by one resolution, which would have an exhibit. And then if in the future fees are changed, and it gives us more flexibility to change fees, the fees can just be changed by resolution, which can happen at one reading, at one meeting, and we are not bound by those other costs, those legal costs associated with Muni Code as well as newspaper advertising. We are reviewing all of our fees right now, and staff prepares to come back at second reading with a companion item, the resolution establishing the fees for the village.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson?
That was 90% of what I was going to say. But the other thing is, this is not going to be done privately. This is all done in the public, so any fees that are being changed will be as an agenda item. It's a resolution, so it is completely open to the public. The public can see this. It just makes paperwork a little easier, because it's very cumbersome and expensive if, let's say, we need to increase a fee or maybe decrease a fee. By this method, it doesn't cost the village and all the taxpayers to go ahead and do this.
Okay, so you're in support of this?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Ross?
At my agenda review meeting with actually it was a telephone meeting with the manager, I drew attention to the charter and a section of the charter that says the commission shall act by an ordinance in order to set service or user charges for municipal services, or the commission shall act by ordinance to grant administrative authority to set the charges. The village attorney, John, thank you for your response today on that question. It's still unclear to me. We're going to set a fee now. Well, this part only takes back everything that was in the code before concerning fees. At the second reading, my understanding is the idea will be to bring a resolution that sets the new fees. In future, those fees will be updated by resolution, not by ordinance.
Correct.
So I think that we should at least, acknowledge that the charter makes this provision and say somewhere in this ordinance that we are acting under that, with the authority and under that section of the charter. Because a couple of years down the line, when we do change a fee by a resolution, someone is going to point to this section of the charter and say, you're in violation, you're not following, the law. So at least having that acknowledgement in this ordinance, we're saying, yes, we know it's there, and this is what we're doing to make things right going forward.
Can we incorporate that into this ordinance?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what this ordinance does is set the process to do it, and as Vice Mayor says, what your charter says is set service or user charges for municipal services or grant administrative authority to set such charges. If you could grant that administrative authority to do it, what you're doing is actually something of more dignity than what the charter allows you to do. And the reason being, and Commissioner Anderson, I think, correctly talks about that, is we want to make sure that there's some due process. It's really more due process than you need to do by doing it this way, and it does save money, as Heidi said. So I'm very comfortable with the way it's written, but if you want to put some language in there, I'd be happy to do that too.
Okay.
So we'll put it for second reading. It won't be in the title, of course. We can't change the title, but we'll put it in the
Right.
intent.
And a whereas clause, that would be fine. It's still a little, I'm still sitting on the fence about whether we can do this way, because what the charter says is either fix the fee or the charge by ordinance, or give the manager authority. And we're doing something in the middle of that.
Sure. What the law provides is you can do something of more dignity than the authority that you have, and you actually have the actual authority to say, staff, you can do it, and it never needs to come back. You're giving more due process, more authority, and more dignity, and you absolutely have the right to do that.
For this current situation, but 2 years from now or 3 years from now when we raise the fee and we do it by resolution, it's not going to have the 2 readings, it's just going to have 1.
That's right, and this is the ordinance that gave you the process, and this is the ordinance that sets the process under the charter.
Okay. If we could just add a whereas that covers that.
Sure.
Charter language, I'd appreciate it.
All right, any other comments?
Yep. I was just going to say, you know, I really don't see that we need to have that in this ordinance because we can't change the charter. So the charter is saying that we can do this. And, you know, to go ahead and have something saying, oh, the charter is saying to do it, it's there. Our attorney said that it's there.
Okay,
I
but
just don't see we need to have that in there.
But it's a simple insert, I think, just, it doesn't hurt us. Commissioner
No.
Watts?
Yeah. No, mine is not about that issue. I just wanted to ask, I guess I wasn't clear when we spoke, that when we have second reading, you will come back to us with a list of all of the fees?
Correct.
And the fines? Okay, I'm a little worried about that because that second reading, if this is considered as one ordinance that we put together, because what if it so happens that you recommend changing a lot of fees and it will only have had one reading? And I was under the assumption, I was thinking, well, just keep the fees as they are now, or if you feel that they should be reduced, some should be reduced, they should be reduced. But I think to perhaps to raise fees at the second reading of this ordinance is a bit
No, but that's
hasty.
not,
But
that's,
we kind of...
Did I have it wrong?
It's two separate things.
Yeah, I mean-
It's two separate things.
Yeah, just from a legal point of view, just so you know, that the whole point is the expense of doing that each time.
Yeah, no, I know
Okay.
that.
No,
I understand that.
But
But it's just,
Commissioner Watts, if the resolution is not satisfactory, if the fee structure that we're going to present is not satisfactory to the commission, you can table both the resolution and the second reading of the ordinance, and nothing changes until
Okay.
we work everything out.
okay, so the fee schedule will be a resolution, not part of this ordinance.
Correct.
Correct.
That's what I didn't understand.
And what I might recommend is that perhaps at the next meeting, we have a discussion about the reso, they do second reading of the ordinance, and then approve the reso, or...
Right, the
yeah.
ordinance must be approved first, because
Right.
without the approval of the
But we can
ordinance.
certainly discuss the reso at the time of second reading.
And you can even combine those hearings.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Commissioner Anderson?
Just so I'm clear, you know, we passed the ordinance. If we don't have a resolution passed, that means we have no fees.
That's
So-
correct, and that's why...
So we have to pass them and the same
Or you would
meeting.
table that ordinance,
Correct.
because
Right.
you're absolutely right, the second you pass second reading, the effective date is at the time of
If
execution.
we don't pass the resolution, then we'll table the ordinance together.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
That would be
I just
important.
wanted to be clear that, you know,
Okay.
it's two separate items, but they got to go hand in hand.
Right, agreed. All right, so...
I'll
roll
make a
call.
motion.
Sorry?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2014-8 concerning fees.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Watts?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Jonas?
Yes.
And Mayor Coviello?
Yes. All right, I'd like to take item 10D, since there are a number of folks here on that item, if that's okay with everyone. Okay, Madam Manager?
Yeah, let me just read the resolution very quickly, Mr. Mayor. Sure. This is Resolution 2000-64, and there will be a blank here that we'll fill in if and when you select one of the proposers. A resolution of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, authorizing the village manager to execute the agreement between, and you'll select that individual or corporation, and the Village of Biscayne Park for lobbying services for the village's boundary change application, providing for an effective date.
All right, Madam Manager?
This is a continuation of a discussion we held at the August 13th special commission meeting. If you recall, staff received a letter from the county stating that there were 2 items that were still outstanding with our annexation application. One can be handled through our legal counsel and staff, and the other one we would require some additional assistance in obtaining. And that requires that if there's an area with 250 or more resident electors, a petition must be filed with the clerk of the county commission indicating the consent of 20% plus one of the electors in the area proposed for annexation. We reached out to 4 firms and also David Caserta, our standing lobbyist, to seek proposals. Those firms were Becerra Communication, Becker and Polikoff, Weiss, Sirota, Hoffman, Prezorda, Cole, and Ron Book and Associates. The village actually received proposals from Becerra Communications and Becker and Polikoff. Ron Book and Associates, they declined the opportunity to do the proposal, but they said that they're happy to assist us in any other way. And Weiss Sirota was unable to get their submittal in on time due to some personal family issues going on with their proposer. I have invited both firms here this evening. They have representatives, and they were advised that they had 3 to 5 minutes to present to the commission their abilities and then answer any questions that may arise from the commission.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Manager.
you.
All right, so we'll have Mr. Is it Kazao? Kazo, close. From Becker Polikoff.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Let's get this. I'm putting my timer on, so give me a second. Okay, good evening, Mayors, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Cazzo. I'm a partner at the law firm Becker and Polikoff. It's an honor here to be here tonight to be considered to represent the village of Biscayne Park and its annexation efforts. With me tonight is my colleague, Jose Bermudez. We have another partner in this project, which is Magby Consulting, Inc. They weren't able to make it tonight, but I'll speak on their behalf also. I'm going to go through bullets because 5 minutes is not a whole lot of time. But so who we are, Becker Polikoff is a 40 years old law firm. We have 170 lawyers and lobbyists in offices in Florida and other states. One of the chief focuses of our government group is representing municipalities and government entities at the local, state, and federal levels. We represent approximately 20 government entities, so we know how to work with government entities. Some of our clients have been with us for decades or more. Our diverse group of lobbyists have close relationships with government officials throughout the state. In Miami-Dade County, we have excellent relations with the Board of County Commissioners, including Commissioners Jean Monesteem and Audrey Edmondson, who would be great allies to the village if we go forward. In fact, I just finished working on the Commissioner's campaign as his campaign treasurer, Commissioner Monesteem. We also have relationship with the local municipalities in the area, so in the case we need to have agreements with them, we'll be able to help you with that also. Our experience when it comes to annexation, I don't think there's anyone with as much experience as us. Our chief operating officer is George Burgess. He's the former county manager who helped develop the procedures we now use for annexation in the county. So he appointed the folks that work in annexation, and he actually developed the program. I currently serve as the city attorney for Florida City. Of the 10 pending annexation applications in the county, we have 2 of them. Jose Fuentes, who's also on our government team, represents the city of Sweetwater. That's significant because the city of Sweetwater has the distinction of being the last annexation approved by the Board of County Commissioners. That's the annexation that allowed them to take over the Dolphin Mall properties and some surrounding properties. He's also represented Medley, Virginia Gardens, Miami Springs, and indirectly Doral, and we were able to work an agreement within those 4 cities to allow their annexations, and their annexations actually have gone forward and are just awaiting. There's some things going on in the county right now in terms of a study that the mayor has asked to go, which is why those haven't gone through. So we have significant experience with annexation. As I said, we understand cities, we understand tight budget constraints. We propose a price, which I've had some questions come back to us from the manager. We're willing to work with you all. The way we came up with our numbers, because there's really 2 things that you all asked for. One was the collecting of signatures, which we don't do. That's what Magby Consulting would be doing, is going to the actual homes and collecting those signatures. We're doing more of the lobbying piece. And depending on the amount of work that we have to do and what the scope of the work is, we can always work that out. But since the RFP required us to give you a number, we gave you a number, but we're happy to work with that, including coming up with caps or different ways of working at. And as I said, we've done that with other of our clients, try to figure out something to make sense for all of us.
that's pretty much it. Our job is to obtain the signatures the city needs for its petitions and to guide the village through the annexation process, including lobbying. So we see ourselves as guiding you through the process, not just lobbying the county commission, although we can do that very well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. What I'd like to do is before the commission asks questions, we can have both presentations. I think that's...
Well, good evening once again, Commissioners, Mayor. It's a pleasure to see you again this evening and a little bit of a bigger crowd. My name is Luis Mata, and I'm with Balsera Communications. A couple of knots about us, and these are my colleagues, and we work together in this industry, and we're not attorneys, we're not really lobbyists, and you all frame the word lobbyist. This is not a lobbying effort alone in and of itself. This is not a public relation effort in and of itself alone. It's more of a public affairs effort. I'm not going to bore you once again, unless you want me to, with our history of our firm. I think last time I didn't or wasn't able to mention that we're currently working on the FIU project that many of you may have seen in the news, and their desire to expand and grow. So we're part of that team and delivering that message. And another item that we're working on, more on a personal note, is the crime spree in Coral Gables. On a personal note, I want to commend you on Tom Harrison's this evening. I haven't seen him in a decade, and it's great to see that he's now been moved up to captain. He's a great guy. But on a personal note, again, it's the message. In Coral Gables, we've picked up there's a huge crime spree. This is personal to us. We work there, we live there, we play there. And quite frankly, there's a big message from the city with the issue of crime that we feel is being not delivered honestly. So we've embarked on this